So good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WGL EU Season 4 Match Week 6. And we have some great games coming up for you today, 3 in total, and I assure you it's going to be a phenomenal time. I am Lauren Pansy Scott, I'll be your host and commentator for this evening, joined by the incredible Laughter WOT. And how are we doing tonight?
Doing very well. Excited to be in a little bit of a new place and excited to get these games on the way.
No one noticed.
No.
It's a small bit of an upgrade, but more of that to come a little later. But as we can kind of get people up to speed, I think we should take them through the results we've been seeing to this point. Because as I said, Match Week 6, we are really getting into this one now. The standings there starting to form more than anything. And at the top, it's not a surprise, but Kazna certainly looking very good now.
Yeah, Virtus Pro being the top team is pretty much a given. They are really the only team that's had that consistent roster from Season 3 to Season 4. Off the back of a good result of the Grand Finals, everyone knows the story behind Virtus Pro. Kazna Crew, on the other hand, a couple of changes, most notably is Elian. That's probably why they're second. He's still sitting at the top of that damage table and the efficiency table on our eu.wgleague.net website. If you want to check that one out, just head over there. Schoolbus in third. Perhaps not surprising, but then they are tied up with games in terms of points with TCM Gaming, who are fourth. So Schoolbus and TCM Gaming are really on the same level. I think we can all agree after that 2-2 draw the other day, although some said TCM Gaming should have taken that one.
I think they slipped pretty much. They had the advantage and absolutely dribbled it away. But let's have a little look down towards the bottom there. And it's going to be kicking us off today, at least, FreeFall against CPLAY. Now, CPLAY have constantly impressed me, but they've had some horrifically hard games to begin with. They've not actually picked up anything other than losses so far, but they have been picking up maps, but not enough to convert to the victory. So here today, maybe their chance, FreeFall didn't impress me in the previous games we saw them in the previous play day. Really didn't kind of stand out to me as a team maybe to look towards to maybe make their way up the rankings further. But I think CPLAY has a lot of potential here. Do you think we might be able to see something in the form of maybe an upset?
Well, FreeFall have been pretty consistent, which is unusual for a Finnish team, of course, but CPLAY have really dropped, in my opinion. They started off well with Virtus Pro, against Virtus Pro, and then they really started to head down that table. I think they started off well and they just got weaker and weaker, which is a real problem for them. They need to get that consistency back where they started at the beginning of the season, where they really need to aspire to get to it and obviously go higher than that soon.
Well, speaking of today's games, I think we should start having a little look towards what else we've got to see. Obviously, kicking off with CPLAY up against FreeFall. That'll be match number 1. And as you said, a lot to prove between these two. Certainly a chance for CPLAY, but maybe they've lost that edge they started with. Following that, Isuba up against Virtus Pro. Now, this looks like a one-sided game. I think it will be. However, I'm looking forwards to seeing how much Isuba have grown. They've kind of been struggling a little bit. They've had their captain back in the ranks now for a couple of play days. They need to at least, maybe looking at making a challenge towards Virtus Pro, not maybe the win. Let's not kind of push it too far here. We are realists. And then in the final game, Denial up against TCM. Now, 2 old dogs going head-to-head there. That's going to be a bit of a cracker, I feel.
That's going to be the best game of the day, in my opinion. Denial haven't been doing so well. They lost 3-0 to Lucky Cracky the other day, finally losing on Ruenberg. I have to say, they really aren't looking good without Elian. A lot of errors. I saw Carmen told me that they pushed a couple of times too many. They're a little bit too aggressive, which I don't agree with. I think really where they've been struggling is that player ability, and their decision making in general hasn't been up to par of where it has been in previous seasons. Obviously, a third place finisher many times before, even won CBIT this time last year. So they've slipped a long way. Against Schoolbus, who've also slipped a long way, they're still going to struggle because Schoolbus has been performing not well, but decent enough. Yeah, they've
been holding their own to an extent, and I completely agree. And it's funny, I was thinking back through when I spoke to some of the guys in the team when they previously were Lemming train going into the World Finals and the Grand Finals there. And the way they kind of prepared themselves, or the way they played as a team always kind of surprised me. It was the way that everyone had an idea, for example, and it all get filtered through to Elian. And Elian would be kind of the guy to go, that's a good idea. Actually, no, that's not a good idea. Let's kind of find the right way to do this. And they had that nice balance. I feel they've lost a little bit of that, but maybe they'll find it today up against TCM. But let's get towards that first game, because that's what we all want to see here. And so far, it will be CPLAY up against FreeFall. Take me through the lineups of who maybe could be making the big differences.
Well, we've seen a lot of IS3s and stuff like that, but I'm not sure if it's been a really worthwhile tactic. Last time CPLAY played this map against Virtus Pro, for instance, 5 IS3s might not work out against FreeFall, as they are really good at picking tanks which counter. They're a very clever team, a very well put together team in that respect. So, we got to look towards the likes of Everson and Agenti to break those camps. Psycho Mike's feeling well. Largo, I want to see him pick himself up a little bit. I think Wilkie does have to end up going down to the tier 1 at some point in time, although he is a very good player. And obviously for CPLAY, Ruster, I mean, what can we say? He's such a fantastic player. And
very impressive.
He does need to bring everyone else up to his own level as well, though.
Yeah, I feel that is a big point here, because he's been a standout player, but he's not really having anyone to support him in this. He's kind of been on his own. He's been struggling to get the support through from the rest of the team, and I don't feel he's a new multi-show in this. He's not a guy completely on his own little way going forward, but he does need a little bit of help to kind of make the big plays that he comes up with actually transform into a victory, rather than just this kind of like in-between factor that they're kind of sat at right now.
I agree. They need to go one way or the other. And they are sitting at the bottom of the table, CPLAY, at this moment in time, because the Suba won against Wusa. They actually have to get a win. And I think FreeFall's a good starting point. I don't think FreeFall's a better team than them. Having looked at their previous result against Drulian Leprechauns, losing 2-0 to their supposedly smaller team, their worst team, after a couple of dubious tactics here and there. But I think this could be a good starting point for CPLAY.
Certainly could be, and we need to start looking towards the maps here as well. Obviously, that is a big factor into this one. I believe Mines will be up first, actually. So, interesting choice. It's the map that CPLAY most impressed me on throughout the previous match days, showing some real class in the way they kind of challenged. They had some interesting tactics coming out. I'm certainly looking forward to seeing if they can replicate that again. It may not be something that will work twice. We've kind of said that before throughout the seasons, that it's all good and well having this very ingenious plan first up, and it always works out one time, but you can't always rinse and repeat these cheesier tactics. It just doesn't work that way. So hopefully they've kind of found a way to form that into a less, or a more dynamic tactic, should I say, with less variables that could go wrong and a little bit more well balanced. So I'm looking forward to that. But what sort of tanks do you think we're going to see coming out from these guys here on possibly Mines the first map?
I think we'll see probably an AMX 5100, T69's likely as well. One Ice 3 does come out here and there, but generally I think we won't see anything too unusual. It's going to be more of the same. Yeah. I think maybe when we get to 9.2, there's going to be a few balance changes, but really, Wargaming in a general patch series, you had 8.0 to 9.0 and etc. They do like one or two big balance changes, one or two big balance patches, which I don't think will happen in the next 3 or 4 months. So it's really until that happens, or they add another vehicle, where we could see big changes, big progression.
Yeah, so I think we are just waiting on the lineups to be submitted through, and then we can get into this one. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I feel as though my money will be on CPLAY here. I think they're going to pick up Mines. Outside of that, I'm not too sure, though. It's very hard to kind of predict these two teams, because sometimes FreeFall look very competent, sometimes they look passive and unwilling to make the first moves, and that's the biggest kind of issue with me, at least, is that CPLAY, at least, you guys at home have probably seen it by now, they make the attempt. It may not always be the correct way to go about it, but at least they go for the victory rather than the draws. They play this game that does incentivize winning. It does give them an opportunity to do so rather than waiting on the opponent to make a mistake, which I quite like that. I like seeing a bit of confidence to the teams. And obviously, guys at home, I do want you guys to get involved here with us in the studio and let us know your thoughts to who you think will be walking away with this game. Will it be CPLAY or will it be FreeFall? The Finns not really impressed us last week. I think you guys at home had the same feeling towards that one. But obviously, maybe they've turned it around. Maybe they watched those VODs back and gone, alright guys, let's step up our gameplay here. We're getting into that midpoint of the season. We've got to adapt and overcome. Whether they have or not, we're yet to see. But previous displays didn't fill me with confidence, whereas CPLAY, you could argue, I feel they've kind of had a better showing throughout their matchups. Very hard opponents, let's be serious here, not had the easiest of routes to this point, hence why I feel they're on a little bit of a lower plateau at the moment. But I think they've got such a good lineup of, with Ruster in their Dr. Tour, they've got some, Dekilzor as well, a lot of talent there. If it's harnessed and focused in the right direction, we could certainly see a couple of moves coming out from these guys that I think is worth voting for. At least, who would your, where would your smart bet be, and where's the risky one? Is there a difference between the two, or is there one bet you should certainly make?
It's do or die time for CPLAY right now. They actually have to start winning. They've had some hard opponents, that's for sure. We've spoken about them before, but in general, FreeFall's not a hard opponent. They've just joined the league. They're not experienced. They've lost against Drulian Leprechauns. CPLAY have to win this matchup to not go down any further. It's a slippery slope, and at the moment they are, really starting to gain that speed. So they have to win against FreeFall. FreeFall, they've been playing consistently, kind of winning here, losing there, but generally they've been playing okay. They can be happy with their performance, but as I said, it's all on CPLAY.
Well, we can start looking towards those tank picks. I believe they are starting to form there on towards mines. And is there anything surprising us so far, or is this quite a normal, let's say, array of tanks coming out from both of these two?
So from FreeFall, the Finnish team, 2 Tier 1s, 2 MX-3090 to T69, T32 AMX-5100. That's for the FreeFall team. IS-3 AMX-5100 T69 times 2 AMX-3090 double Tier 1. That's for CPLAY. So once again, they're going to go for that IS-3, which didn't end up working last time.
Don't like the IS-3 here.
No.
Not on mines. It's not a map that I feel suits the IS-3. I think the IS-3 has some perfect places throughout, varying amount of maps. But I'm yet to see it really find its own here on mines. We see it, occasionally on Ruinberg, for example, but Ruinberg's got a lot of the city element to it. It's kind of more of a hybrid than an open map, whereas mines is this kind of very unique blend of everything going on there. You've got the village that's been consistently coming to play more and more often, which I find quite surprising these days. So we're going to have to find out if that's a factor into this last prediction. Who's going to get the map?
CPLAY.
Well, we're going to find out. Mines is coming up next. Welcome into the first map. It will be CPLAY up against FreeFall, and CPLAY will be starting in the north in red, FreeFall in the south in blue. The Finns looking to maybe carry on, picking up a couple more victories, whereas CPLAY, they desperately need it. So what are we seeing these guys beginning with?
Last time CPLAY did this one was the IS-3 below the hill, and maybe they're going to go for the same thing here, but at least for FreeFall they're going up towards that hill. Agenti just stopping below it, trying to get a couple of spots out, not finding anything until he does find Ruster. Obviously from the north of mines you have a better spawn to get up the hill quickly. That's why from the north you often see teams getting that hill very early on. And FreeFall is on the opposite hand. They are just kind of sitting either side, double T32 left and right of the kind of middle area, and then obviously sitting up back with the Tier 1. So Agenti kind of rotating around. Novak just takes a shell there. 1140 left on that T69. So first little bit of damage going towards CPLAY.
Yeah, so CPLAY there suffering a little bit. We're going to have to see if this one really works out for them now. I have to be a little bit cautious there. Nervax is up on that hill. Nothing too much to worry about. Everson in the background. And Yuku just in that Tier 1 trying to keep eyes on. But Agenti going for a little bit of a swim, it seems. Joining Wilkie out on the island. Is that a good idea? We've seen that also coming into a little bit of favour.
Yeah, it definitely has started to become more prominent in the kind of attacks they're doing. You can see Agenti is also heading over there for FreeFall, so they are, well, both teams are kind of putting a little bit of resources towards the Lighthouse Island, and maybe going to be trying to flank over there. But it's a tricky move because you can get shot out right across, and I think Agenti is just going to try and get the cross off here, shoot towards the guys who are sitting up on that ramp towards the hill. Maybe connect a couple of shells if he can, but that's really the name of the game for both these two teams at the beginning, is trying to get us a bit of damage onto the other team, get that advantage, so when you can push. The Killzor takes a little bit of damage, he gets set on fire, I believe there, down 500 HP.
Yeah, and I have to keep my eyes on this man though. Ruster has been such an important player for these guys, and I mentioned it to you a little earlier on, they do seem a little bit more favourable towards that village side. They're very happy giving it a test out. He certainly did some work here before, and as you mentioned though, Morning Wolf did receive a little more damage. DeKillzor certainly getting a bit of a chunk himself, so let's sit on board with DeKillzor. Backing away, still not enjoying that IS-3 in play. I don't feel it has a place on this map. Yeah, we're going to have to see if it can find its own, especially with the 5100. I feel the more suited tank on mines.
Yeah, it's a better tank all round because mines, well, it was called Hills, and that kind of gives you an idea why the 5100's better. It's just an easier tank to play in gun depression suited areas because, yeah, you know, it doesn't have good gun depression, a bit like the IS-3, but then again, it can retreat a lot quicker. It can be a little bit more dynamic against those 5100s, and you can see Agenti and Wilkie are flanking around, having known where the other tanks from CPLAY are already over towards the right side, towards that trench. The dead zone takes a bit of damage.
Yeah, the dead zone might be in a little bit of trouble here. He doesn't have a lot of backup. You can see the rest of his team have kind of peeled off towards that village. So he does get a little bit back. Agenti certainly suffering a little at his hands, but nothing really to write home about just yet. But quite a active, let's say, exchange at the very start here. Wilkie also appearing on the horizon might force a little bit of a retraction from CPLAY, who are a little bit out of position to receive a push here.
Yeah, they're not really there to deal with Agenti, Psycho Mike, and Wilkie, who are all flanking over towards the left side. Although Nervax and Dead Zone are slightly even better positions and getting themselves just there to stop the cap. I'm not sure if they can. They have the view range, and obviously the bushes in the way will not help them at all. So CPLAY might just have got caught out here, maybe a little bit outthought by FreeFall, and we'll have to probably retreat round and really deal with this.
Yeah, it's, you know, if I'm recognizing the fact this is a possibility, it's gonna be. So we are seeing that cap beginning pretty quick on that one. So a good couple of players sitting in there. I believe 3 actually. So Rustin now needs to get himself back here. Actually splitting off the long way. And I'm curious to see who's going to be on first on the scene because they need to get involved. But Morning Wolf's taking a little bit of damage. He's taking a lot of damage, tell a lie. And Nervax, all of the Dead Zone can do this, but Morning Wolf denies one. But he will be picked up in the end by Nervax. But now fire comes in left, right, center. The cap is still underway. No one has stopped this yet. 5 seconds left. These guys could pull it off. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. We're waiting on that shell, and I don't think it's coming in. FreeFall capture it out first of all. Brilliant beginning for these guys.
1-0 for FreeFall,
Wow.
and indeed the shell came in like half a second too late.
Too little too late there, buddies.
They only needed like let's say 1.6 seconds, maybe a second, and they would have managed to reset that one and probably gone on to win because they were one tier 8 tank ahead. They had taken down Morning Wolf, and the Dead Zone had gone down, but the more damage was in towards CPLAY's favor. So a little bit of a bad start for CPLAY. I have to say, it was pretty obvious what FreeFall wanted to do because Agenti got spotted over towards the left, and they gave too much information away to CPLAY in that position. Okay,
so let's look at it this way. Do you feel that maybe FreeFall there had an idea of what CPLAY were bringing to the table? Because that seemed like quite a decisive move. FreeFall we've seen being quite passive to this point. That looks like they maybe knew their enemy, or they were just a little bit more confident in their playstyle. Do you think that was actually why they went for that push? Because I've not seen FreeFall do that yet. But then again, I also knew that CPLAY liked that village area, especially with Ruster. But then that IS-3 in play, surely that may have kind of diluted the waters there and made it a little bit hard to assume where they're putting it. But do you think that was actually a read from FreeFall coming in there?
Yeah, I think it was 100% a read. They saw what was over in the right side in the village area, and they reacted to it immediately. They saw the IS-3 there, the AMX 5100 was there, then the T69s, and they put the AMX 3090s, their AMX 3090s over towards that left side where the lighthouse is, and they just flanked around. The cap was the obvious advantage. We're seeing a lot more teams going for the cap because it guarantees a win, whereas if you go for the kills, then you actually have to kill them, which can be a big problem, especially if they shoot back. So it gives you a little bit more reliability. But that was a plain old read from FreeFall. I'm surprised CPLAY fell for it so hard. It was pretty obvious of what FreeFall wanted to do. Once Wilkie had been spotted on that lighthouse island. Yeah,
big mistakes being made from CPLAY. They may be being a little bit short-sighted themselves in the fact that they didn't quite expect their opponent to go for such a push so early on and read them so well, find that chink in the armor that clearly kind of got them taken away from that. So currently it will be FreeFall with a map to the good. But next map coming up, I believe, will be Ruinberg. So certainly something we can see a lot of dynamics on. It's a map that's kind of an open canvas to an extent. It does embrace two of the factors of World of Tanks that we at least see on a common basis. We've got the city side, and we also have that village and the green zone to an aspect. If they go for that straight out brawl, which has been shied away from here. Why do you think that is? Why is that city now coming into favor?
It's just about adapting your game style. They went for the green zone because they wanted to surprise this other team with a bit of a new tactic. Can we actually win with this? Yes, we can. So let's keep on doing it. And then there comes a counter strategy, and they're like, okay, this doesn't work anymore. So let's try something new. Let's go over towards that city a little bit more. Can we use the 5100s and the IS-3s effectively there? Okay, we can. And we saw last Matchday Virtus Pro versus Asuba. Against Evil Panda Squad even. A great little hull down ability we're seeing A lot more tanks, the IS-3s in the middle area along those railroads, using them hull down, and both being offensive and defensive at the right time. As long as they have good cover, good support, then they can do it really well. They can play really well.
So what sort of lineups do you think will be coming out of these guys? Because we did see that IS-3 in play for, CPLAY in the previous mines, which I don't think suited. However, I feel it has a place on this map if they want to play the city, as you mentioned. And there is, a couple of other spots they can find its footing in if played correctly. Is that something we might be seeing here, or are they going for maybe the faster, more... I hate to say it, old school lineup, but I kind of miss the T69s and 1390 combo coming with a 5100. What do you think these teams will favour?
Well, we've seen it before, right? So lots of IS-3s, lots of 5100s, they got a lot of damage, a lot of HP. The problem with taking the MX-1390 and T69s is that they are really quite weak compared to them. Before we had blind picks, you could pick them because you could see, okay, the other team is going to pick 2 MX-1390s, 2 T69s, or 1 AMX-1390 5100, for instance. And that was all good. That was fine. But now with blind picks, we've seen it plenty of times before. For instance, TCM did it first on Ruhenberg. Right. They picked 2 IS-3s, 2 5100s, and AMX-1390. It's almost impossible to destroy that lineup with some T69s. T69s, you can't even do 1,000 damage against an IS-3 if you land all 4 shells and penetrate. So all these kind of things do really become a problem for the teams. That's why you see the heavier lineups on this map. And
I think you're absolutely spot on as well. Looking at what we've got coming in here, I believe they've made their choices, so do have a little look and take us through what we've at least seen kind of come to the forefront at the moment, because you are spot on there. There's a lot of IS-3 and 5100s I'm seeing out in the mix.
Yeah, we're seeing double 5100 IS-3, T69, AMX-1390, double tier 1 for FreeFall. CPLAY look like they've gone for an IS-3 as well, alongside 2 5100s, another IS-3, double AMX-1390, so double 5100, double IS-3, AMX-1390. Almost similar to what we've seen on Ensk in, I think, Season 1, Season 2, but instead of the AMX-1390, we usually see a T69, so you got a bit of speed there for the middle spot on the MX-1390. The firepower comes from the MX-5100s. And of course, those IS-3s are just brilliant when it comes to that direct push we see a lot in the Eastern Village.
So let's take this into account. The first map, good read from the Finns there. They certainly came in and knew what they were coming up against. To an extent, they read the situation well. Whether it was pre-prepared or not is something for another discussion. But Ruhenberg, hard to prepare for. There are a lot of variables. There's a lot of kind of... way the tactics play out just down to the team's personality towards the day. If they're feeling confident, if they're not, if they want to play passively, aggressively. Do the tanks give you much of an inclination towards what sort of push they may go for or what position they may hunker down in?
It's been strange because a lot of teams have been picking like the double MX-1390, double T69s, and they've been pushing for the village anyway. It makes no sense to me. If you got that lineup, you have to find a way of drawing it, and you have to be playing in the city a little bit more. So, in my opinion, it's going to be a city push. It could be a village push, but if it is a village push, it's going to be a very short game, and it's going to be about who can get in the better positions first. And that is often the case with that push over there, and I think from the north you have a little bit of an advantage. So
if you had to put your money on one of these teams here, we've seen one map, hard to read into overall performance. Where are you putting it?
It's starting to go towards FreeFall. It doesn't look like CPLAY is quite up to par right now.
I tend to agree with you. So guys, we're about to find out on the second map, Ruhenberg. And welcome into battle number 2. As promised, it will be Ruhenberg, and in the north in blue, it's gonna be FreeFall. Currently one map to the good. The Finns have turned up today, and in the south in red, it's gonna be CPLAY looking to prove a point now. They have to turn up here and finally get that win under their belt. But what are we seeing FreeFall beginning with? Is this something that we expected?
From the north, I said the MX-3090s, the 5100s, have a bit more of an advantage going forwards, and it does look like that's what FreeFall's going to be utilising. Sending Everson obviously a long way around because of his reload and how big he is, and the rest of them just going straight in towards the middle. Agenti does take a heap load of damage there, down to 682 as well. It looks like CPLAY doing very much of the same, although deciding for that longer route, the kind of moon circle area, just because, as I said before, going in towards that eastern village from the south is dangerous. Everyone knows, even in random battles, it's extremely hard to play because of the kind of damage you can take from, for instance, the F line.
Yeah, and I love this position from DeKilzel there. I haven't actually seen that much in play, but absolutely brilliant. So hopefully that pays off for him. Nervax there set up as well. It reminds you a lot of N-Score almost, this kind of usage of the kind of slightly broken down part of the city with the defensive lineup at the back. But we do see a little bit of movement coming out from CPLAY. They are happy to start moving up, maybe finding different spots as the dead zone, and Hacky now joining up towards the others. But there was the man Ruster, who's kind of out on a limb. But, he can do his own thing. That's kind of the bonus towards him. But is there any threat from either of these sides? We saw the initial damage coming out from, I believe it was actually Nervax who made the first shot there that did take a good chunk away from Agenti. But is that too much to be worried about just yet?
It could be. It depends how CPLAY really go for it now. They could really rotate Ruster around in that AMX 3090 and push onto Agenti in the best possible fashion, going up from the south towards the F line and then just springing the trap on him. And when Ruster has 100% HP and Agenti's down to about 55-65%, he'll win that engagement obviously, and then CPLAY will be one tier 8 tank up to the good. It depends if he can actually execute fast enough, how often, how early even that he gets spotted heading up the F line. Will FreeFall manage to react in time to kill him there? But we do see that rotate slightly happening for CPLAY now. The dead zone and Hacky heading up towards the eastern village, because it looks like Trevez is doing those early spots.
He's certainly doing a great job as well. DeKilzel though, on a little bit of a limb, do you feel, or is he playing within the kind of safety realms here? He's already taken a shell, so a little bit dangerous. Agenti, however, won't land a second, but Nervax may be looking to get another big chunk of damage done towards the man that he's already tagged up earlier on in this game, taking him down to 682, but Nervax backing away smartly. But yeah, what was this the kind of theory behind the push-up then from the dead zone and co? Was it just to try and utilize the spots that Tier 1 was getting?
He thought, okay, well, they can't really support us from the city, they can't actually shoot from the city, so let's do some damage onto Agenti. Agenti is the obvious target for CPLAY right now. He's on his own, he's got a little bit of HP, 400 odd HP off him. What can we do to actually take him down? That's the weak point for CPLAY. I'm not sure if FreeFall 100% realize it. Probably not, because of the kind of upper ground advantage they can. Obviously, Somper and Wilkie, you can see there, can just aim down and get the shots onto Agenti's aggressors if they do decide to push along. But it does look like CPLAY are starting to head up towards that southeast, that's the one.
You'll get there.
Southeast side, and I look for going towards those bushes and head towards the village. That's because Trevez made the early spots. He knows that they're safe and they won't really have to worry about getting spotted and taken down. Their kills, although receiving another bit of damage there, now down to 1008.
Yeah, surprising you got caught out then. Maybe a bit of mispositioning coming into effect. Maybe a little bit lacking, but I'm still loving this spot. I really, really do love that. Just a bit of a pixel above, but as you mentioned, the dead zone there. Now down the 0 line, Hacky joining him as well. But for me, it's I want to see a move now coming out from CPLAY. They've found a weak point to an extent in the fact of Agenti. Now, he may not be, the biggest target to go for necessarily, but he's certainly a weak point that could maybe unfold, the rest of the game. DeKilzel, however, taking, a bit of damage himself as well. Do you think that's kind of dampened the will and want to push?
Well, probably, I'm not sure. It's on the IS-3s, so, if you're going to take any damage, take it onto the IS-3s. It's the most important tank for taking damage. It's got HP, it's got armor, it can survive even if it's on 300. Wilkie is starting to look for DeKilzel there. Doesn't find him. You just want to land a couple of shells and then go for the rotate. Agenti now joining him from the right, and maybe just actually supporting him as he does head over. Yeah, he's just going to be supporting him, making sure he gets past unscathed, and if, CPLAY does decide to push against him, then Wilkie there will be able to back him up and provide a little bit of firepower to stop the kill. But it does finally look like FreeFall want to try something maybe, as Wilkie, Agenti all heading up towards the city area. 4 minutes and 32 seconds left on the clock, and indeed the whole team is now rotating around. CPLAY in very much the same positions as well. A couple of tanks get spotted. That could be disastrous for FreeFall. Psycho Mike and Morning Wolf now spotted across by Ruster in that AMX 1390, so it does give CPLAY a great amount of information to start pushing.
Yeah, and start pushing exactly what they're doing. Hacky and the Dead Zone, the two 5100s that split off earlier on down that zero line, will be joining in now, so there's a lot of firepower now behind Ruster. He does have a backup. And, well, at the moment, Sompa peers up. He's going to be on the radar there, so they're certainly aware of the positioning now. Not far away, but it's a little bit of a stalemate. It looks like, you know, I've got to say, CPLAY are playing smart. You can't just go charging in head first, but they're looking for the route around. But right now they found Wilkie. Did not expect him maybe to be there. And Ruster gets sent back packing after taking a big bit of damage. And as did, you know, DeKillzor earlier on. So a little bit of a weaker lineup now for CPLAY. You know, is this the path they need to be pushing? Is this the right choice they're making?
I think so, because, well, FreeFall are kind of separated a little bit. They're here, there, everywhere. That gives CPLAY a lot of options to push in. Sompa takes a fistful of damage. He's got to try and get in cover.
Yeah, those 5100s now in position are going to make this one hurt. Sompa could be in trouble. Hacky off from the side, lands the shell. That is Sompa down. Now Morning Wolf finds Treves, but it's not Treves you got to be worried about. It's the firing squad behind them, and look at this. It's the all-out battle from afar. But I've got to say it, to my eyes, at the moment CPLAY are landing these shots. Finally, Psycho Mike takes down Treves, but that's a tier 1. And we're seeing the big kills coming in now. Nervax on towards Morning Wolf. Everson in the hills, just trying to back away. These guys are on the run, and CPLAY are looking hungry.
It depends on what their reloads are like in those 5100s. I think they are reloading. Still got plenty of time to win this one. Wilkie does need to be the next target. Takes 401 damage from Nervax, and he's going to reply with some damage of his own.
Yeah, he's doing the job, but Wilkie doesn't expect the others coming around the side. We are still seeing kills going back and forth. The Dead Zone does take down Wilkie, leaving only a Genti. And, well, it was Everson alive, but the Dead Zone put him to bed, and now just a Genti stands. The man who was the weak link at the start now has the weight of the world on his shoulders. Ruster's found one of the tier 1s. Juku and a Genti have to pull something out, something incredible.
Well, they're just going to go for the cap, that's the thing, but now he can't because Ruster spotted him heading towards the cap, and he's obviously going to go for very much the same. That's CPLAY there, so just spreading out and then capturing a Genti and a net is going to be the option for CPLAY, but still plenty of time to do it. They don't have to worry, they've pretty much got this map now in the bag. There's really not much, as Juku 123 does go down to Thoris, Dr. Toya even in the tier 1, and that leaves only a Genti. 682 took the first bit of damage. He's going to be the last one to live.
Can he stop the cap, though? That's
nope.
No. Pretty much the answer there. No, he cannot. 10 seconds left on this. He's taking a beating, even getting near to the flag. Not going to reset this one. 3 seconds left. Watch that timer and watch Ruster absolutely decimate him. CPLAY certainly turning up in the second map there.
Good read of FreeFall. It was almost exactly like Mines, but this time the spots were in favor for CPLAY. They spotted Morning Wolf going across. They spotted Psycho Mike there as well, so they knew that FreeFall were trying something. They were trying to get around in towards the city, maybe even go for a draw. That's when CPLAY caught them out in the perfect time, because they had sent those MX 5100s to the southeastern area. They could just put them in the right position very quickly, and then obviously those 5100s can do a hell of a lot of damage. They caught out a couple, you know, FreeFall obviously great players, responded with a couple of their own, but they were in the worst positions, and that's why they went down.
And do you think FreeFall maybe, you know, overestimating the damage that was done to a Genti there almost? You know, he did not get involved in the fight. He was the last guy standing. Do you think that little bit of damage that came into him early on maybe dampened the thoughts of pushing forward? They were kind of a little bit hesitant after that, maybe not wanting the fight as much, and that maybe gave a little bit of an opening there for CPLAY to make the move like you said they did. Could that be a bit of an option?
Yeah, taking damage at the beginning is always a problem.
Yeah.
You know, Genti rotated from that F road, which was a good idea, but the thing is, he was waiting for the rest of his tanks in the city area. The MX 1390 at range is very bad, and because of the way CPLAY moved and pushed, he was completely useless. He was on his own in his cap. So at the end of the day, he was out of position, waiting for his team. CPLAY just caught them at the perfect time, and that's exactly what you expect from the team that really needs to start proving itself, finally picking up a map, one apiece. Our next one will be win to Himmelsdorf. As I said, Mines went to the side of FreeFall, and now Ruhenberg went to CPLAY. So all tied up, best of 5 still. Not been a draw so far, which is good to see.
It's good to see these guys going for the victories, I've got to say. It's actually impressive. It's showing me a little bit of character left in them, because, let's be serious, before this playdate, you know, FreeFall looked lacking. They looked lackluster. They looked like the passive team that just waited to see if the other team would roll over them. showed some potential at the beginning of the season, but it kind of faded. CPLAY pretty much did the same, but it looks like they're going for the more decisive moves. They're looking to read the opponents and make the plays off the back of it. Absolutely perfect. So currently, as you said, tied 1-1, and Winter Himmelsdorf will be coming up next. Now, tank choices, it's a silly question to ask you because we kind of know what's happening here. Unless maybe there's the random stack of either the 5100s or the IS3s. Normally a nice combination of both. I'm guessing that's what we're going to see, but what sort of play do you think we'll be seeing complementing those sort of lineups?
We've seen a lot of teams go for the lower Himmelsdorf hill area, you know? Not the one when you actually go right, first of all, let's say you're starting from the south, but the one where you take the longer road up and around the 8 line and then you head up towards the castle.
Yeah.
So we've seen a lot of teams doing that. TCM tried it. Drooling Leprechauns tried it as well, successfully against FreeFall. So we might see this again from one of these two. It does give you the option of, you know, being able to catch out a pushing team and an overly aggressive team at the start. And then if you want, you can just go down the hill, go up the 8 line and go for the cap. So you still got the options on the cards. The 1-2-3 line is more from the north. We've seen a lot of teams being successful there. Less from the south. Still, the hill has been the most important thing this season. Really getting the numbers on there. That's the basic question. Do you have more 5100 on the hill than the other team? Because when the push comes down to it, that's really the most important thing. You get the focus fire on, you take one tier 8 tank down for 0 of your own, and then you've already got an extra gun in the game, more HP to play with. But we are starting to see the tanks start drilling in here. Triple AMX 5100, double IS3, double tier 1. That's for FreeFall, looks like that's 100% locked in. And I think the same's going to come out of CPLAY.
I wouldn't expect any different. I haven't seen CPLAY being the team to go for the cheesy tank choices or the slightly off-the-wall tank choices. I think they're a team that will play this one out smartly because, well, let's be serious here. Probably after the first defeat they suffered, they might have gone, you know, we're not doing well here, back into the old habits. But picking up a map like they just did, I think they might have a bit of a chance here to actually push on this map because I haven't been overly impressed by either of these teams on this map, at least Himmelsdorf coming up. It's not maybe go, do you know what, that's a lot of potential. On your minds, I saw CPLAY pulling off some great things. I was like, that's the team that could go far there. Did not see that really today, but still. This is a map that I'm not sold by yet by these two. It's certainly going to be a proving point to me. Who's better suited to this one?
I think it could be FreeFall. They've been okay on city maps in general. Losing on Ruinbug does beg the question, is CPLAY better on that today? But then it's Himmelsdorf, as I said before. It's more about the consistency than if it's a city map or if it isn't. Who just plays better on the day? It looks like a pretty even match so far. Just who catches the other one out, that's what we see. You know, this season it's really been about, you know, which team is excellent, because they're all pretty much on the same level. In previous seasons it's been, you know, we've had like 8 or 9 good teams, but there's always been 2 or 3 which have not been very good. But this time we've pretty much got 12 teams on the same level, maybe apart from Virtus Pro.
Yeah, well, we are going to find out now who's going to walk away with this one, maybe with the advantage, because, well, Winter Himmelsdorf will be up next. Welcome into map number 3, Winter Himmelsdorf. We'll now be housing the battle between CPLAY and FreeFall, currently tied 1-1. It's all to prove. So, in the north in blue, it will be FreeFall. Currently shaken by CPLAY, let's be serious here, who won't be starting the south in red. So, what sort of start of beginning are we seeing coming out of FreeFall? Looks like a standard beginning. I think Sompa is actually going to go right here. You know, he does Psychomoke, Everson, Morning Wolf in the tier 1 and the double AMX 5100 heading up towards the hill, going to get the early spots on. And then we got Wilkie in the IS3, gets the spots on Doug kills with their Juku, heading towards the right, and pretty much like looks like a standard start from CPLAY as well. The IS3 towards the left, the kills are in the middle. Yeah, okay, sometimes we don't see 2 IS3s in that area, but it's pretty standard. Dr. Tour, the Didzor, and Nervax heading up towards the hill on the right is obviously going to be last Ruster in the 5100, and that's really the options for these two teams. Who can win the hill up first?
and then what information can you get that from that hill. And if you do win it, you can obviously shoot down. If you don't win it, it doesn't really matter, you just have to come from a different angle.
And funny enough, it's the first time I've seen a team in a little while who started in the south actually going for the initial commitment. We've seen a lot of teams being a little more passive, back down by the foot of this hill, and then going for plays. But look at this dead zone, happily pushing in. I don't know if Psycho Mike has spotted out these two 5100s making their way forward. He might be aware of the tier 1, but I don't think he might know what's coming around that corner. It's certainly got a lot of damage to it as well. This could be trouble.
There's trouble for Nervax in the dead zone, possibly as well, because if they get spotted, which is just about possible, depends where FreeFall are, then they can get shots from the side, and it's really a juicy target, the 5100 from the side. It's just a box on tracks at the end of the day. So you probably won't see those two 5100s commit from that area. It's too risky, it could work, but for a tier 1, it's not even worth it on Himmelsdorf, which is a map that does rely on tier 1s a lot, but they are going to get spotted out. Dr. Tour takes down Psycho Mike. The first frag going in favor for CPLAY. Good play by Dr. Tour, really catching Psycho Mike there while he wanted to rotate around. That's going to force Morning Wolf off the hill alongside Everson, and that's going to force a different tactic from FreeFall. CPLAY have that hill.
Yeah, they certainly do. Ruster, Dr. Tour, Nervax, and Dead Zone up there. I think Nervax, however, will be backing away. They've claimed what they wanted at the start. They don't need to outstay their welcome. They can happily back off now and look to wait maybe where FreeFall will run to. We saw teams like Kazna Crew resetting up very well to expect the push off here. Wilkie receiving a little bit as well. This is the power of those 5100s up on that hill there. It will be Ruster laying down the fire towards Wilkie. So Wilkie, you're gonna have to sit tight here. Nice positioning though.
Perfect positioning by him. Ruster actually coming off west there. I tell a lie, Wilkie receives another one from Dikilzer, 373. Nice play there by CPLAY. Ruster on the left, Dikilzer on the right. So when Wilkie tried to react to Ruster, well, Dikilzer would get the shots on him. So bit of damage towards FreeFall. They are certainly down in that equation. Ruster did receive 1 for 410, but Wilkie receives a lot more, down from 1,500 HP down to about 840 in his IS3. But Everson and Morning Wolf tried to react to that one by going up the hill, catching Ruster, but again, Ruster being in the right position, that guy's got brilliant situational awareness, didn't overstay his welcome, and is going to be ready for those two.
Yeah, and he has friends with him as well. Let's be serious here. He has Nervax, he has Dead Zone, and well, he's got Dr. Tour too. Let's be serious here. So a little bit of backup on the hill, probably not the best engagement, as we now know for FreeFall. They might have to reconsider some of their options, maybe look elsewhere on the map to make a bit of a play. They still do have those two IS3s down here, Jerrycan and Dikilzer. Do you think there's going to be any sort of commitment here, or is this just pretty much what CPLAY wanted? They now have the control that they were looking for.
We might see some commitment from FreeFall indeed. Somper, Wilkie starting to edge their way up the hill, and that's maybe the plan from FreeFall. Let's just outnumber, let's outgun CPLAY in every way, shape and form. 2 IS3s, 2 5100s against 2 5100s. Yeah, those 5100s probably will escape unless they're in awful positions, but they will receive a lot of damage. So Nervax and Ruster, they're in the better positions, but against 4 tanks, those better positions get negated. They'll get a couple of shots off, and they'll have 4 shots coming towards them. Probably a couple will land themselves, so that's cancelled out. That's really the great thing about having those tanks. And it does look like FreeFall are starting to commit up this hill.
Yeah, let's bear in mind, Dead Zone is holding the push here. Ruster and Nervax getting some shells down, but Nervax finds Wilkie, and now into the crossfire they go. They're completely unaware of this fire code from the side as well. Look at this. Somper and Morning Wolf being taken very low here. Ruster has taken a bit of damage, but it's Dead Zone who's out on a limb. He even has a little bit of cover there to back away to. Somper can't escape this, and Everson is down desperately low as well. So Morning Wolf and Wilkie being sent back to the drawing board, leaving Everson, Agenti, and Somper to come up with something pretty impressive here, because at the moment, look at this reactionary play as well. Jerrycan and Dikilzer immediately finding an answer.
I didn't even see though that Dead Zone there in the corner, and they're really going to have a hard question to answer, because, well, on 40% HP and Somper on about 50%, the only 2 damage dealing tanks. Yeah, Everson is there as well, Agenti is there as well, but he's really unsupported, so those 2 IS3s pushing on the bottom could do a lot of damage there at the beginning. But CPLAY still have to execute well, going for the cap. That's the sensible option. Good to see that the kills of doing that with full HP. Everson taking another big bit of damage there, 420 HP.
Yeah, and that's forced the move coming out for FreeFall. They're going to have to commit here to Killzor. Is trying to back away, and he does have backup coming in. Jerrycan does find Everson. Agenti now in a world of trouble. He's got 2 tanks staring him down. It's going to be 3 soon. 3 minutes, 58 seconds. Agenti's held. He's going to be taken on every side. Jerrycan claims another. Ruster chimes in with 1. And CPLAY, can you believe it? Really finding their footing now, picking up battle number 2 for them out of the 3 maps so far. So very well done from them there. Liked the tactic, they stuck to their guns, and that hill play was very impressive. Was it the dead zone, if I'm not mistaken, was up there off on the side, just holding that fire constantly, and even Ruster backed away in the perfect time as well.
I didn't see the dead zone. I had no idea it was there. I was thinking, okay, the 250-100s, Nervax, Ruster are going to do a good job. But with the dead zone in the equation, that's completely another story. And that's perfect play by CPLAY. The idea from FreeFall is actually pretty good. You know, you go 4 against 2, you're going to win that pretty much 100% of the time. But when you have the dead zone right there in the corner, you go into a 4 against 3 situation with 350-100s, so you do a lot of damage. And you're going to get taken out very quickly. Wilkie went in first, which is another bad idea. We saw him do that before. It should have been a full HP tank with Wilkie just behind. So all in all, you know, FreeFall, they weren't playing aggressive. They tried to get on the hill. They didn't play for the information with the tier 1s, which they should have done, sent that first. Like we saw from instance, Denial Gaming, they didn't send the tier 1 first when they should have. That would have shown them, okay, look, there's the dead zone on the right. Let's not go up there.
Yeah, this is a no-go suddenly.
This is you know, the dead zone does literally create the dead zone there.
Yeah, and the thing I also got to say I liked about CPLAY was the fact that they actually split those IS-3s up very quickly. As soon as that engagement on the hill actually began with the 5100s, it was an immediate reaction. It looked like a genuine plan was unfolding there. The IS-3s that were holding the more center of the map started to push up using those railroad lines almost, and then coming around towards that cap pressure. That was actually a well-executed plan. Very, very, very impressive stuff.
It was simply good to see CPLAY actually having a proper tactic, but we've got a little bit of a replay from the last few dying moments for FreeFall there.
And as you can see, Agenti just got caught. There's nothing you can do in that position. You've got to stop the cap somehow, but you can see the reinforcements coming in from CPLAY, and they're just converging on every single side. FreeFall had nowhere to run and hide. That was the biggest factor there. They literally were just trapped with every option. Start off on the hill, trapped there by the dead zone. Immediately they see the fact that a couple of tanks are now backing away, that they're going to go for that secondary objective. They're going for the cap, so everyone kind of comes around to this second battle. Agenti and I can't remember the other player, I think it was Jerrycan, were already there waiting in those IS-3s, and as you saw, it was just literally every single tank moving in on this one spot. Very well played to CPLAY there. This is what I saw from them at the very start. This is the team that can compete at a fairly competent level. They're currently 2-1 up against FreeFall, who are substantially higher than them in the rankings. So seeing them bring in that sort of level of play is very impressive. I wish we'd seen more of that from them leading up to this point.
I agree. They've really been the classic case of new Team Blues. They started off really encouraged and full of optimism. They wanted to win. They did everything they could to win, but against Virtus Pro and School Bus, they went down. And then they played Evil Panda Squad. They thought they could absolutely stop them after 2 good, decent results against 2 very, very good teams. Turns out that every single team is good, and that you really do have to prepare for everyone. Hopefully, they got the kick in the teeth and they've gone to the dentist, they've got it all fixed up, and maybe they're going to be a good team again. But again, I think it's really, you know, it's not getting from the start to the finish. It's the journey in between that makes the biggest difference. It makes you a good team. You know, for instance, we talk about Virtus Pro now being so good. I remember when these guys were playing in Star Ladder for, 4 seasons in a row, coming second, 3 seasons in a row, coming second to Na'Vi. Every single time these guys would lose. And look at them now. They are absolutely on point. They're as good as Na'Vi now, possibly even better in a lot of situations. I think Na'Vi's kind of slipping down a little bit. They lost on the weekend in the Russian version of the Wargame.net League. Very impressively to, I believe that was Red Gra. No, it's just Gra now. It's no Red anymore. Just Gra team who've been absolutely fantastic. So, Na'Vi Virtus Pro is the only undefeated team in both Russia and Europe.
Well, the journey is going to have to continue in this game, however, as I think we're getting ready for that next map almost. Cliff will be coming up next. A bit of a Russian-friendly map. Let's be serious here on that topic. Any Russian or anyone from that general area seems to be getting it pretty much nailed down. But have these teams picked up, tank lineups that may, replicate something we saw coming out from your Virtus Pros, from your school buses? Because those guys, they pretty much give masterclasses every time you watch it. Is there going to be an engagement on here? Because last time, this was one of the maps I was very disappointed in FreeFall's performance. It was lackluster from start to finish. Very little commitment. Not much movement. No crossfire setup. None of these traps we're seeing in place. But, is there any tanks there that may describe differently? Or do you think it's just the mentality that's changed?
I'm not sure. I honestly thought Cliff would be a very fast map. We've got, in terms of how long a map takes, is Prokhorovka and Steps, obviously the two longest, but then comes Cliff, which I never expected. I thought, okay, it would be, Himmelsdorf, maybe an Ensk, or maybe something like that, but never a Cliff. I thought Cliff would be, along with, for instance, Ruhenberg, a very quick engagement in the middle, and then see what happens from there. But CPLAY MX1390, double T69 from FreeFall, and that goes for CPLAY as well. So mirrored lineup from both teams. Good to see that no one's going for this really heavy lineup like we've seen before. Yeah,
I'm not missing those IS3s. So guys, let's not waste any time. Let's get ready for the next map, Cliff. You can see the flags flying there for the FreeFall side, and they certainly need it now. With only one map to their name, CPLAY with two. There's certainly have to be something brewing for these guys. Cliff, bit of a prolific map these days between teams, struggling to find the advantage, struggling to find the edge. With FreeFall in the south, are we seeing something similar here?
Well, they are going up towards that middle area. I've not been impressed with FreeFall on this map at all against Drooling Leprechauns.
Oh, it's atrocious.
It was really bad. Like, it was.
You got to call it how it is.
Properly bad. Yeah, we're not. We don't dilly-daddly here, right? We say it how it is.
The pill. We're no Americans.
Yeah, exactly. We show you how it is. I can say, for instance, England's bad at football. I know we're bad at football. We are out of the World Cup. And we'll say the same if a team plays badly. Jerrycan Ruster gets spotted the dead zone next to it. Could have that early engagement here from FreeFall CPLAY.
Well, we are seeing a little bit of a commitment back and forth. Jerrycan does receive one. Morning Wolf also getting one as well. And the double 1390 stack. Interesting start there from CPLAY towards that hillside. And Jerrycan in that T69 needs to be a little bit careful there. As you can see Psycho Mike eyeing up towards that hill. Bit of an exchange goes on, and this is a much more aggressive version. And look at Ruster, happy to peek out, get those shots connected. He did get one towards Everson a little earlier on, but I'm very surprised we've not seen a tank challenging this position. It's a common sight we see these days. A 1390 on the opposing side, happily to toy back and forth, really someone to watch it. But these guys have free reign, and Wilkie's quite far back here, not getting the aggressive peek down.
And Jerrycan the Killzor is in the perfect position to put the fire onto FreeFall. The initial start from FreeFall was good. They did a bit of damage to Jerrycan, but now it becomes about positioning, and that's where CPLAY is really in the advantageous position. They got the higher ground. They got the Killzor over towards the right, and they can just peek, get the shot off, go back. The Killzor sitting up behind a bush, which is absolutely the best place he can be. He won't get spotted so easily once he makes the shot. Yeah, the spotting check will come out, but he's still quite far away, and he's still got that tree right in front of him. The crowns of trees do act as camo, so he'll have about 40% plus to there. So all in all, looks like CPLAY once again really in the driving seat. Morning Wolf down to 651. That's about 50% HP on that T69. The same goes or thereabouts for Wilkie, whereas CPLAY only Jerrycan taking 875. But I have to explain. School Bus lost the whole AMX 1390 to TCM Gaming, and they still managed to draw it out.
That's a good point, actually. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too excited here, a little too early on. I'm not going to start reading into it yet. My hopes got far too high then, guys. I'm calming down. But still, let's bear in mind here, if CPLAY win this map, they pick up the game overall.
Yep.
You know, it's a good position to be in. They clearly look confident in the way they're playing, but that could also be a downfall here. You know, Tanks is not just about, you know, landing those shots. It is about the smart play, and right now we might be seeing some trouble. Agenti did get one towards Jerrycan, but look at what he walks away with. Pretty much a beating, as he is now down to the same as Wilkie and Morning Wolf, down to 5-7-1. Very much at the half HP marker. Surely this is going to start being enough for CPLAY to start considering their options, but Ruster being caught out there. Maybe peeking out a little bit too much. A little bit too confident up on that hill. Needs to be now careful in that 1390. Dance around the rock a little more rather than just peering out, hoping for the best. And do you think that maybe a lack of discipline could cost CPLAY this map here, even with the advantage overall? Yeah,
it could certainly cost them the map. Yes, FreeFall have taken quite a lot of damage, but they've still got all 5 damaging tanks in the game, and CPLAY have lost 50% HP on 2 of theirs, and well, FreeFall have lost 50% HP on 3 of theirs, so it's only one tank that's taken more damage really. Also add Everson, but it's not really that much damage there. It's a low damage roll for him, so really the options for CPLAY right now are pretty limited, but there are a couple. You could send tanks around towards the left side of the map, around here. You know, just come flanking around and try and get the kill onto Morning Wolf. Agenti will be in that position, and it really depends what he can do in that place to actually counteract that. Or you can just come straight across the middle and engage onto Morning Wolf, try and do as much damage as possible as well. That would work because they're retreating quite far. But it does look like they're going for the third and final option, the flank from the lighthouse.
I'm curious to see if this pays off. Obviously, Juku will probably spot this out, but they've also got the information there. I'm not sure if they're going to ignore him, but maybe look for a better target overall. They're going to be pinching these guys in. I believe there's going to be a push coming out from those T69s in the middle. It is indeed. They're going to really come around the back here. Look at this. Everson taking a beating. He's taken 2, 3, 4 shells will take him down. One more. And there we go. To Killzor living up to that name of his. And Morning Wolf is the next target. Bouncing shells coming in from the west side. To Killzor needs to be careful. They've not taken down Morning Wolf just yet. And hell, Ruster is also low. This is not a pretty battle between these guys. They need to be a little careful here, and Ruster is pinned the hell down.
But Agenti actually has to retreat off the hill area here. That gives a 4 versus 5 situation to Killzor. Does get taken down though. That does give FreeFall a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah, and look at this position from Ruster though, being brave there, trying to take on Wilkie from afar. He's down to nothing. That's a one-shot for anyone on this map pretty much. So he needs to be careful. He got a little bit of damage done, but the Dead Zone and Nervax not fully committed just yet. We are finally seeing them making some shells.
They're going to try and go forwards. They are the 2 playmakers now, the only ones who really got some HP. Psycho Mike does bounce that one incredibly from the side. Took one before though, so down to about 80% HP. Wilkie going to try and rotate, join Agenti over towards that left side. He's got on about 50% HP. As the rotate does come around from FreeFall, and they're probably going to try and go for the draw, but really do they have time, because Nervax is going to start hunting.
Yeah, there's not a lot of map left. Let's keep this in mind, okay? Dr. Tour already is on that west side of the map here, so if they go past him, he'll know about it. Whether or not he gets killed, it doesn't matter. And you're seeing Jerrycan just smash down Agenti. So already we're going to have, you know, an even closer situation. We are seeing the fact that Psycho Mike and Wilkie are trying to hot-tail it out of it. Dead Zone finds Juku. That's a tier 1 down. Fire comes out. We can imagine Dr. Tour will be found eventually. He's got a little bit of fire going out, but he's just keeping eyes on. It does mean that the rest of CPLAY now can start moving in for these kills. Ruster's turret is turned. Nervax keeping eyes on as well. We are seeing Jerrycan probably going to be the first on the scene here in that T69. Curious to see if he actually can make it around in time and land these shots. Here we go, that T69. Fantastic for this sort of positioning. Dr. Tour doing a damn good job, but actually Jerrycan a little late to the party. Does not catch up, and Psycho Mike continues to roll on.
But now CPLAY have the option of capping because how far away Psycho Mike and Wilkie are. Dr. Till will get taken down undoubtedly by Psycho Mike. Really nice little hip shot there, but CPLAY, as I said before, they got one tank towards the cap. That's going to put the pressure on. Still 1 minute and 40 seconds on that cap. 2 minutes and 52 seconds left on the clock, so really FreeFall does have to end up getting rid of this cap here.
Yeah, here we go. Those two are in a 2v3 pretty much. Psycho Mike towards the backside of the village. Wilkie trying to split back, and that T69 and 1390 are waiting for him. He's going to go for the exchange, but it's going to be a brave one. He gets one shell, backs away. Psycho Mike now moving up to support, but they need to get moving fast. They know the situation. This is a beautiful setup from CPLAY. Absolutely well done. They are holding down the angles, but they've lost sight of them. They're not sure where they are. This could go wrong. Psycho Mike finally appears up. They're going to try and cross it. Psycho Mike gets picked up with Jerry Can and Wilkie now. The last man alive goes for the shots back, but Dead Zone lands the shell. Perfectly done by CPLAY again. And hell, they're just adding a couple more shells into the side of Wilkie there as he was done for. But I've got to give credit where it's due. That final setup from CPLAY, absolutely stunning to stop them crossing over again and just cornered them in. Almost like Himmelsdorf, but played out on a very different map.
It was great to see how they managed to really think about all the angles. Where can FreeFall go? Where can we go to stop FreeFall from really pushing and going
Very
for
smart.
their own options? Because that's what FreeFall does. They see, you know, okay, they can go to the cap. We can go to the cap at the same time. We can get the counterplay on. But it has to be said, you know, FreeFall went for the early aggression on the left. They did pretty well, actually. Jerry Can went low. But the
Yes.
problem is they didn't actually retreat fast enough. They retreated at about the 5-minute mark. They should have retreated immediately once they got the early advantage, and then sent the AMX 3090 up onto that left-hand side.
Right.
Get the AMX 3090 spotting across, providing the backup, and just don't go for those peaks against the Killzone, because he was always going to be in the better positions. All in all, CPLAY, they knew when to push, they knew when they had the advantage. Nervax in the dead zone on that push around the side. Perfect stuff with those AMX 3090s. That's how you break the camp on the cliff at the end of the day. And you know, CPLAY pick up their first win. Congratulations. Obviously, we have to see the
Very
last map.
deserving as well.
We have to see the last map. But all in all, CPLAY finally starting to get themselves up and really getting the revs going, I guess you could say.
They really are. You know, this is the team that I thought had potential at the very start. I was like, okay, these guys have shown quite a bit of promise. Okay, they've got some good strategies there. I like that. Let's see if they can build off it. And then they went silent for the next couple of play days. And I was like, did we watch a different team there? But, you know, I want to just highlight again how good these guys are. Look at this setup. 2 players in the middle, crossing, just absolutely crossing everything. Wilkie tries to make a cross, gets denied by the dead zone. And even outside of that, the 2 players you didn't see, the one in the cap circle, the one up the north, there is nowhere to run and hide. They left the T69 and the 1390 there. And as you said, they just perfectly set up for it. Wilkie, they had no options. And that's the CPLAY that I think has a hell of a lot of potential to do well. And I'm very glad they actually managed to pull it off against a team who's been constantly playing passive, constantly waiting for the opponents to make the move. This is what happens when you take the game into your own hands and you make it work for yourselves. You become a bit of a dangerous team from start to finish. I think maybe CPLAY could just kind of keep surprising a couple of teams here and work their way back up that ranking.
I hope they do. We've still got, you know, a few match days to go. There are 11 match days in this season. We're in 6 of them at the moment. We're just starting week 6. There's obviously 2 parts per match week. A lot of people have been going to me, Ollie, how does this thing work? You know, we got 1 match day, we've got 2 match days. But no, this really, if you think about a match week, the first week was a double match week because we had Super Week, so we had 2 match days. But really, you take Monday and Thursday as 1 match day, but part 1's on Monday, part 2's on Thursday, and whoever really comes through that one is the winner, and you see all games. We show all the games on the thing. That's why we do it this way. Otherwise, beforehand, we saw only a couple of games a night, which is okay.
You've got to see the bigger picture.
But we really want to see the bigger picture, and I think every team, every one of you guys, you've got your own teams, and you want to see all their games and really not have to wait for a couple of weeks' time when I can finally see my favourite player.
Well, speaking of favourite players, Virtus Pro coming up next is a good couple you could obviously have a little look towards on that one. You can see it down there below. Isuba will be their opponents. Previous game, CPLAY picked up in a 3-1 fashion, looking very confident, looking a little bit refreshed and kind of renewed towards the season. I'm certainly looking forward to what they can really step up towards. And once again, guys, get over towards Facebook and Twitter and get involved. Get your predictions through. That last game, a hard one to call. This one coming up, there might be some easy points coming up. Who knows? Sorry, Suba, but I got to say it. You know, you're up against the Giants now. Virtus Pro, big team, looking near on unstoppable. If you're Suba, what would you be saying to yourself right now to try and get you into this game here?
I think I would be saying to myself, how many, I don't know, Red Bulls do I have to drink to really give me the superpowers to get through? How many nuclear plants do I have to jump into to give myself a good enough radiation?
Spiders to bite you and everything.
All those kind of things, you know. Really, how do we have to be superhuman to beat the guys who've pretty much got oil for blood?
Yeah, so the men who are pretty much machines will be up next, and that is Virtus Pro. Facing off against Isuba, who've not quite found their footing. Glimmers of hope have emerged, but if there's anyone to impress us against, it's going to be the guys at the very top. So guys, do not go anywhere. Stay tuned. Maybe put on the kettle, make a cup of tea, but don't go too far away because we'll be back with a great game in just about 5 to 10 minutes.